Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the South Carolina Department of Consumer Affairs presentation. Don't get caught in a ho-ho hoax for the holidays. We're going to go over some holiday scams, let you know what's going on out there, and tips that you can do to avoid becoming a victim. I am Carrie Gruby-Labarker. I'm the Administrator and Consumer Advocate for the Department of Consumer Affairs. It's my pleasure to be here with you today to talk about this timely topic. So let's dive right in. So we're going to talk about holiday scams, and the number one scam that we see at this time of year, just because of the volume of online shopping that occurs, is online shopping scams. So the Federal Trade Commission has something called a Sentinel Data Book. So law enforcement agencies and other agencies who take in consumer complaints report nationwide to the Federal Trade Commission to kind of show a trending analysis of the types of calls we're getting with scam reports or with fraud, identity theft, and all of those areas. So we are a contributor. When folks file complaints with us, it goes to the Sentinel. Not only does it help with trend analysis, it also helps with enforcement. So our office at the state level can look at data to figure out the kinds of enforcement actions that we think we may need to take. And then the feds as well, not only the Federal Trade Commission, but the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, the FBI, Justice Department, they all have access to the Sentinel data. So they take all the information that they gather in and they give some national statistics as well as some statewide statistics too. So we're going to take a look at those. So in 2021, 2.8 million fraud reports were received by the Federal Trade Commission, and 25% of those reports included a reported loss. 5.9 billion was lost to fraud, and $500 was the median amount that someone reported losing. Younger people lost money more often to fraud than older people. However, when somebody age 70 plus had a loss, the median loss was much higher because they have more money. The folks between 20 and 29, while they may fall victim to the scam, they don't have as much money to give to the scammer, so that makes sense. And online shopping was the number 2 category for fraud reports received. So there were nearly 400,000 of those reported to the Sentinel. Over half of them reported a loss. $392 million was lost through online shopping and negative review fraud or scams, and the median loss was $150. So these kinds of issues or things that were reported, complaints or fraud reports, included undisclosed costs, right? So you thought you were going to pay $39.99, and all of a sudden there was an extra $10.99 for some kind of a subscription service or something that you weren't aware of. Failure to receive whatever you purchased online on time or at all. Maybe you didn't receive it at all. There may have been internet auctions that were being reported to where they thought that they were supposed to have won that particular internet auction, but they didn't. And then as far as the negative reviews, it's dealing with complaints about businesses not permitting people from giving honest reviews about products or services that they purchased. All right, so online shopping scams can happen across the web, even on sites like Amazon or other sites that host third-party sellers. And oftentimes you'll be scrolling through Facebook and you'll see an advertisement or something that looks legitimate pop up there, even on Google over on the right-hand side. And these deals look amazing, right? It's rock bottom prices. You haven't been able to find anything close to that price. It's something you really, really wanted. You're excited to be able to give it to a loved one or for yourself. We all know we shop a little bit for ourselves during the holidays too. You order it and then you don't receive the product. So this is kind of the common process that we see for online shopping scams that are reported. One of the items that we often ask folks is, did they check to make sure that the website was secure prior to making the purchase? And so you want to make sure that the website has that HTTPS after the URL, that lock as well. So it looks a little something like this. So it's not secure if you don't have that S and you're not seeing the lock there. And then we have our check mark below where you're seeing that it's secure. It has that HTTPS, the indication that the website is secure, and has that lock to be the visual to ensure that as well. So you want to make sure you have that. And there's the differences. Also, if it seems too good to be true, it probably is, right? If something is advertised online with that super huge discount compared to a suggested retail price, that is a huge red flag of a scam. I had a friend who bought some dresses that looked to be designer, and when they came, they fit a doll, right? And they came from a different country, and they were this big instead of something that could fit them. But it was super cheap, and she was enticed by the price to make that purchase. So you can always find good deals by comparison shopping, but those deep discounts should be a red flag for you. And here's an example that we saw online for some Christian Louis Vuittons, right? These are some pretty fancy schmancy shoes. It would take a unique person, I think, to purchase these. But look at that huge discount. They're supposed to be $4,000 shoes. They've got that red bottom, which is very much the sign of the Louis Vuitton. But I think that whoever made this website either took that picture from another website or took some spray paint to a bottom of a pair of shoes and then deeply discounted it to $205. So you can see that that red flag there kind of played out for you. I'm still not getting over those. Those are some shiny shoes, flashy shoes. Okay, so you also want to be wary, in addition to those deep discounts, be wary of sellers who require you to pay through a wire transfer or payment apps, prepaid debit cards or gift cards, or cryptocurrency. These different kinds of payment types are either like paying cash, like when you do a wire transfer, then you can't get it back. I mean, you could say the person's going to pick it up in St. Augustine, Florida, and wire it down to that particular place, but they could go worldwide to any one of those wire transfer shops and pick it up as long as they had the proper information. Cryptocurrency is certainly something that's been in the headlines a lot, but these kinds of payment types are not easily stopped or traced. So you always want to try and pay with a credit card online. There are certain protections that you get with a credit card that you don't get for a debit card. So with a credit card, first, if somebody steals your number, they're not going to be able to get direct access to your bank account, right? You're not out any money. Whenever you get that statement that comes in, or you go online and check to see the purchases and you see it, you contact your credit card company immediately. If you do it within a couple billing cycles, then you're not responsible for any of those charges. If you use a debit card online, that is a direct line to your bank account. So if someone has that number, they could drain it. And then there has to be an investigation that your bank or financial institution undergoes to figure out if it truly is fraud. And so you may be out that money 6 weeks or 8 weeks, however long it takes that investigation. Some folks, don't like to use credit cards. If you use a credit card, we certainly recommend that you're able to pay it off prior to any interest accruing. But if you don't want to pay with a credit card, you can buy a gift card. If you know there are certain stores that you're going to frequent, then you can buy that gift card so that you're entering that information, not your personal financial information. Also, watch out for sites that have an enormous amount of ads or pop-ups. That's a red flag for sure. The more ads, the more likely you are to click on something by accident. It's an advertising tool, but a lot of vendors with these third-party ads or pop-ups on different sites, there's not a due diligence. They're not going behind the scenes to make sure that whoever it is that's paying to put an ad on their site is legit, or to see if they're a scammer. They're not doing that kind of work. So you want to be sure that if you're seeing those kinds of ads or pop-ups, that it's that red flag going off, that you don't click on anything, and we would recommend that you go to a different site. Then watch out for fake logos. We're going to talk about spoofing in a little bit, about how people can make websites look legitimate. They can make emails look legitimate, and they simply cut and paste different logos and copy listings. Or like we saw that advertisement, they obviously copied something from Christian Louis Vuitton and put it on their site to make it look more legitimate. The same goes for security logos. So just like how we talked about the HTTPS being a sign of security for that particular website, there are security certifications that a website should have, okay? And we list some of the examples here. And somebody may just cut and paste that logo on the bottom of their site, but it really should be something that you should be able to click to open up a new tab that would verify that that is a secure website. So if it's just a picture, if you're hovering over it and nothing pops up, then that's a red flag. And sometimes there's an example down here, I think, of the VeriSign. Like they'll have all the different payment methods and all that other kind of stuff. And and show the different items that you should be able to click on. But if you do, if it's just a picture, again, sign that it's a red flag. All right, so that's online shopping scams, one of the top holiday scams that we see this time of year. How about package delivery scams? So during this time of year, which we see this all year long, it just ramps up because we all are doing more online shopping, and the scammers follow the headlines. They are seasonal too. They ramp up at different times depending on what our behavior is as consumers. And so they may send you a text or an email that asks you to click a link to make sure that you can, or to give you an update about a delivery date, right? They want you to be able to track a package location. They want you to give your payment preferences to them. Maybe they're asking for a delivery fee or asking you to give them delivery instructions. But the kicker is when you click on that particular link, it may open up a website that asks you to enter personal information. They may install malware onto your computer or your phone, so then it can, get all the keys that you're pressing, or secretly steal personal information or whatever you're entering into your phone or into your computer. Or they may even ask you to call a number in that text or that email. But the same kind of thing, they're going to ask you to verify account information. They may ask you to verify your credit card information. We have an example of one of these tracking scams over here on the right-hand side, right? They're like, please update your shipping directions. They're having issues. They try and make it seem a little bit time sensitive, which during the holidays, when you're making purchases, it is time sensitive, right? So they catch it, they bring it in. So here's the things that we want you to watch out for. If they're asking for money or verification of personal information in return for delivery of a package, that is a red flag. You should have already paid for all that on the front end, whichever vendor that you purchased it from. So they shouldn't be asking you for that information. Look for spelling and grammatical errors or excessive use of capitalization and exclamation points. Sometimes it could be British English that they use, colors spelled C-O-L-O-U-R or something instead of C-O-L-O-R. There's always that sense of urgency that it's a time-sensitive request. And you should stop and think, wait a minute, did I even order a package that's going to be shipped that way? Whenever you order from a vendor, they usually tell you who they're going to be shipping your package through, whether or not it's FedEx or UPS or the US Postal Service or whatnot, or if you're supposed to go pick it up at a certain drop-off point or whatever. So check with those vendors, check your confirmations from them and your shipping confirmations too. There's a lot of communication that we get from the vendors. But spoofing can make these requests look more legitimate, right? So they may take the FedEx logo and put it on that email, or get a phone number that's very similar to UPS, but change one number to make it seem legitimate. There was something I saw too with FedEx specifically where someone put Fed and just an X instead of the F-E-D-E-X, because your mind and the pace at which we operate, you see what should be there instead of what is there. So you want to just make sure, even if you get these items, if they're saying that they're trying to ship you something, there's an issue with it, and they're saying it's coming from a particular shipper, go to that shipper's website for more information. If you're given an alleged tracking number, you can use it, or again, go to whatever email you have from the vendor where you purchased the item from to see what your tracking information is. And make sure you're typing it directly into the website. You don't want to click on any links or call any numbers that's in that text or that email, no matter how legitimate it looks. Go to the website or go to the phone number that is verified, that actually belongs to that shipper. And then even though we often see this kind of scam directly with the shipping agent, you could see the scam as well with the vendor that you purchased it from. So here is a fake spoofed email purportedly from Walmart to somebody saying that you need to click a certain link about your order. But you can see that there are different typos and issues here. So it doesn't say, it's not addressed to anybody in particular, which it should be. The language is a little weird. This letter is to advise you about the order we have, which is addressed to you. That's a little weird. It doesn't have an order number. You have 4 days to pick it up at any local store of Walmart, which is interesting. Again, verbiage. Please, follow this link for more information. Again, grammatic and spelling issues. There's no contact information. There's a lack of information here. That should be some red flags. So even once you get past the potential texts and emails from scammers for shipping or for your order, you may also get some porch pirates. that once your item is delivered, you still don't get it. Not so much that the vendor didn't ship it to you and that the shipping agent didn't get it to your front door, but that somebody is going through your neighborhood and stealing packages off of people's doorsteps. So if you're expecting a package, we encourage you to require a signature for delivery, or if you can have the package delivered to your office or another location, that somebody would be able to, when it's delivered, get it immediately from the vendor, the shipper, or as soon as it's put on the porch. Or you can leave specific drop-off instructions. You know, if you want them to leave it by your back door instead of your front door so that it's not visible to anybody driving by, you can do that as well. Another type of scam that we see pop up this time of year is vacation rental scams. So these days, you know, it's easy to connect directly with property owners because people's putting everything online, right? Everybody's putting their rental bookings online. But again, rental bookings can be spoofed as well. So unfortunately, you know, the way that this scam works is that you see something on Airbnb, VRBO, it could be any kind of website that has a rental listing on it. The scammer hijacks that particular listing, or maybe they even don't bother with hijacking a listing and they just create something that's not correct. So you give your money, you show up, and then there's no real rental, or somebody else is there saying that they've rented it too. So you want to make sure that if you're looking at a vacation rental, even if you're not sure if it's a scam or whatever, we want you to do your due diligence in this area, just because we have seen a lot of complaints about this. It's usually during summer times, and we're often seeing them too with long-term rentals for apartments and stuff. So this isn't just for vacations. But if someone is saying the only way to pay is by wire transfer, gift card, or cryptocurrency, again, our little red flag feelers should go up, because those are not easily trackable or traceable kinds of payment. That is a red flag. If you see the rental listing on several websites and with different contact information, that could be a sign of spoofing, right? And then you also, through a simple internet search of the address, may be able to find complaints or issues that other folks have seen with it, because it may be a scam. And similar to what we see with the online shopping, if a price seems too good to be true, it is, right? So that below market rent can be a sign of a scam. So you want to make sure you're doing extra research to confirm the deal is legitimate. Whenever you're looking at different properties in South Carolina, you can go to the Register of Deeds and actually do a search for the address to see who owns the property. And so that's one way that you can kind of cross-reference the property. A simple internet search too, to see if you have multiple listings that have that different contact information, or the complaints as well, should assist you with verifying a true rental. So just as far as traveling as a whole, we have a couple tips for you. So don't sign or pay until you know the terms of the deal. So you want to make sure you know the cancellation and refund policies. Travel issues were the #1 issue that we received complaints that were COVID related during the pandemic. And a lot of times it was because there was no cancellation or refund policy that had a pandemic style event in it. Or we would have folks who were told, yes, you would get a refund, but then they were not receiving it in a timely manner. So you just want to make sure you have the full picture. Again, don't pay with wire transfers, gift cards, or crypto. Do your own research. Look up the travel company, hotels, rentals. You can use words like scam or complaint to try and see what other people say about the particular property. If the property is in a resort, you can call the resort front desk to confirm the location and other details that may be on that contract. And you can use comparison websites and applications, especially when you're shopping for airfares, and you want to make sure that you're buying a ticket and not just making a particular reservation. You want to make sure you're going all the way through so that it is in your hand. All right, more holiday scam examples, and these again could happen at any time during the year, but we just see an influx during the holiday season. Charity scams. Again, if there's somebody asking you to pay in uncommon ways, like a prepaid debit card, gift card, transfer through a payment app or cryptocurrency, I mean, that is a red flag that it is not a legitimate charity. Most of those charities are going to ask for payments like check or credit card payments, and you want those kinds of payments so that if it's tax deductible, you have the receipt for that. If they're not going to provide you details over the phone or in writing, which our recommendation usually is, if you want to know where your money is going, how much of it is going to a particular charity, and to make sure that charities are aligning with whatever your mission is to spend your good hard money, earned money, then ask for information in writing. It should not be a time sensitive, we need your money now kind of thing. They should be willing to explain all of those details and more to you, and to be happy to send that to you. And so that goes in lines too with if somebody's using high pressure tactics, that is a red flag. And just remember that scammers can spoof caller ID to make it look like it's coming from a particular area or from a particular organization. They'll use names that are very similar to well-known charities to kind of reel you in, and they'll use very vague and sentimental claims as well. And that goes back to wanting to be cognizant or to know what those details are of the particular charity. And you can always go to the Secretary of State's website to check and make sure that the charity is registered. They do an Angels and Scrooges list every year for the amount of money that actually goes towards the charity itself as a, or towards the mission of the charity as opposed to their administrative costs too. So it's always good to go to their website or give them a ring to research a particular charity before you decide to donate. Then we have a secret sister scam. I had not heard of this until last year. This is mainly on Facebook, and essentially you're told that it's a secret sister program, right? So you're supposed to buy one gift card and then send it to a certain place, and you're promised to receive even more gifts. Like it's almost like a chain letter, but it's for a gift exchange. But in the process, the scammer asks for personal information and will eventually target you and those who participate for identity theft. And there, oh, I thought I had an example. Okay, I have them out of order. So here's the secret sister scam. So this is legit from Facebook. So it's, I'm looking for 6 more ladies interested in a holiday exchange. You just buy one gift of $10 and send it to your secret sister, and then you'll get 6 to 36 more, right? Never heard of this actually happening. So be aware of that. And then Cyber Monday ads, again, it goes in line kind of with what we talked about all the pop-ups and those deeply discounted prices and things like that. So beware of Cyber Monday ads, even though we've had some holiday shopping prices for the last couple of months that retailers have really tried to do some discounts earlier on in the season, but Cyber Monday is still a thing. And like we said before, scammers follow the headlines and they follow our consumer behavior, and so they'll be taking advantage of that. All right, so in our short 30 minutes that we got to spend together today, we gave you a lot of different red flags for some of the more popular scams. But again, there are some base bottom line tactics that scammers use no matter the season and no matter the type of scam. And so there are some general tips that we'd like to relay to you so that you can be aware and hopefully not become victim any time of the year to a scam. So if it seems too good to be true, it probably is. Don't give your personal or financial information to a cold caller. If someone's texting you, calling you, emailing you, and you did not initiate that communication, then you need to go to the website or the phone number that you know belongs to that particular business, not one that's provided in, or that agency for that matter. We see lots of government scams, not the one that's provided in that text or email or call, and verify that they are in fact the ones who are reaching out to you. Pick your payment wisely, credit card or gift cards using online for purchases, not paying for any kind of a service via crypto, wire transfer, or prepaid cards. And reviewing your financial statements often. We want to make sure you're pulling your credit reports. You actually have credit reports that are normally available to you for free one time a year from each of the 3 major credit reporting agencies, and they're available now weekly because of COVID. So you can check your credit reports. You want to make sure you're checking your financial reports, especially as you are making increased purchases during this time. If you see something that does not look right, contact your financial institution immediately. And don't be fooled by a good-looking website. Technology can be used for good and for evil, and the scammers certainly try and make their scams look more legitimate by cutting and pasting off of a website, pictures, and things like that to try and fool you. So if you've been scammed and you're a consumer, report it to our office and we'll try and give you some steps to protect yourself from any further victimization. You can either go online at consumer.sc.gov and fill out the scam report form, or you can call us toll free in South Carolina at 800-922-1594. And then, of course, report the fraudulent or suspicious activity to whoever you bought the product or service from, that particular vendor, so that they can make their customers aware, or whoever you made the payment to, or your bank. And if the fraudster posed as somebody, contact that particular business too, so they can make others aware and so they can be aware. If you're a business, gather as much information as you can about the domain and the platforms that scammer used. You can let the vendors know about that fraudulent or suspicious activity. If it's online, report it to IC3, that's the FBI's Internet Crime Complaint Center, or you can contact the local FBI and post a notice on your website notifying customers of the scam. And we actually had this. There was a low country hospitality site trying to promote a particular town. They were running I guess a contest or a giveaway. I say it was probably more of a giveaway. Over the October, or during the month of October, someone created a Facebook page that was very similar to that particular one, put a similar giveaway link on there, but asked for personal information, financial information. And so we assisted that particular Facebook, that particular hospitality Facebook page with some language to try and notify folks. But it's just, you know, scammers will look for any kind of way they can to steal personal identifying information or money from you, and using somebody that you may be familiar with is a key way, a key tactic that they deploy. So we have lots of publications to help identify scams. Ditch the Pitch is our guide for guarding against scams. You can go to our website to request free copies of that, and also to download the digital versions. And we also have an ID theft prevention guide, credit report guide, and other publications that you may be interested in. Okay, we are at our time for today. If you have to leave us, thank you for joining us, and we hope to see you on another Wednesday webinar. I'm going to check for questions though, to see if anything has popped up. All right, so someone had a questions about whether or not it's to call or email. Is it better to call or email complaints and questions, or questions to us? So whatever is most convenient for you. We have an online complaint system, and that allows us to process complaints and get them to businesses much more efficiently than a paper system does. But if you're more comfortable with paper, I myself still print things out and stuff, so I understand that. We can do that too. It just may elongate the time to get that complaint in and to get it back out. And then someone asked about scheduling presentations. How far in advance should we contact you to schedule? The earlier the better, just because we only have a handful of folks that do our presentations, and we do tend to book up kind of quickly. So if you could give us a month or 2 months in advance, that's great. But who knows, if you have something coming up and you just realize that we gave presentations, then we'll be more than happy to try and see what we can coordinate with you. We do have an online presentation request form that you can complete under the How Do I tab, or you can call toll free and just let our receptionist know that you would like to schedule a presentation. So someone else asked a question about when block contact doesn't stop the contact, what does one do? So I'm guessing that's a telemarketing question. So if you're trying to block somebody from being able to call you, but you're still getting the call. So I'm going to answer it from that perspective. So unfortunately, a lot of scammers use telephone numbers that don't really belong to them, or they buy them in bulk. And so once you block one number, they'll just utilize another one to keep their telemarketing going, or their scam telemarketing going. There are some measures that the Federal Communications Commission is trying to deploy to make it to where telephone providers who can spot, you know, hey, this is a residential number that's sending out 1 million phone calls at one time. That's not right. We're going to stop all these calls, those kinds of things. Or if there are unassigned numbers that are being used as well to do some telemarketing calls, then they can do that too. So hopefully you'll see a decrease in that, but we just recommend that if you do not recognize the number, then don't answer. And even you'll have these scams now where you get like one ring, or there won't be a ring, but they don't have a voicemail. So again, it's those kinds of things to where listen to it, see if they're posing as somebody, see if it's somebody that you know that you've done business with, or otherwise just let it go. Don't give them a call back. All right, checking to see if there's any more questions. I hope those answered the ones we got so far. Again, thanks for joining us, and I hope you all have a wonderful Thanksgiving, and we'll see you back on November 30th. Have a great day.